welcome back to my channel. I'm so sorry for not posting for the past, I don't know, like month. There was so much going on for me in real life and so little going on in Genshin. But before I start with the video, I want to say the reason that I actually am making this video. So basically, I have always been consuming Genshin content, and the majority of the content I like to consume is centered around Genshin aesthetic and teapot builds and stuff like this. And I've always wanted to have a cute little teapot of my own. I had to watch like tutorials to be able to, create a cute little spot for me to hang out and stuff. And the tutorials, unfortunately, they were never clear enough for me to understand. And it's mostly my fault. I'm not saying that it's anyone's fault. It's not like the creator's fault at all. It's my own fault for not being able to understand the tutorials. And I've always wanted to follow a tutorial that is easy enough for me to understand and apply in my teapot. So most of these teapot tutorials were like sped up, and I found it like quite hard for me to follow. So in this video, nothing's gonna be sped up, no fast forward, no nothing. I'm going to, explain basic teapot things without, rushing or anything, so anyone can apply these in their own builds. I don't know what more to say, so let's just get started. I pretty much cleared out most of my builds here, and this is my main teapot. This is my Fontaine inspired teapot, and I'm using the Fontaine Mansion in here. I'm going to go through the areas real quick, but that's gonna be later. We were talking about the uses of the teapot. First thing first, when you go to Tuppy right here, you have multiple options or like commands and stuff. First one is trust rank, and this is where you get your realm currency, and this is like for most people the main reason they use the teapot, which is basically collecting the realm currency and using it to buy stuff that you can actually use in the game. And also people use it to collect companion XP or like companion friendship XP for people who like to collect the name cards, character name cards. So this is my aesthetic teapot. It doesn't have that many companions. I use another teapot to collect the friendship XP. One more thing, the trust rank we have right here, it has 10 different levels. The highest rank is rank 10, and you can reach this by adding furniture into your teapot. It'll give you primo gems and furnishing blueprints and stuff like this. And then you reach this level, trust rank 10, and that's when you can get, the maximum amount of these coins or like the realm currency, and you can get that by adding more furnishing, like making and adding more furnishing to your teapot, that you can change or switch the realm layout. Some realm layouts you can buy from Tubby, from the realm depot, and we're going to talk about this in a bit, and others you can get from simply like unlocking the teapot itself. My first one was this one. You can pick between these three, I believe. These three you can buy from Tubby, and this one you can get from making offerings to the Sakura tree in Inazuma. And I think this one's the hardest to get. It's also really cute, so it's kind of worth it. And you can also see the amount of adaptable energy in each build right here. It's displayed on top next to the Tubby icon. And the higher the adaptable energy, the more resources you can get, basically. And you get like higher adaptable energy by placing more furnishings into your teapot, or like placing high adaptable energy furnishing into your teapot. Next thing is creating furnishing. You can create furnishings by first unlocking the blueprints, the furnishing blueprints, and you can either get them from Tubby, from leveling up your trust rank in the teapot, or from exploration. You can get them from remarkable chests, and then you can make furnishings here. You just press on the furnishing icon, anyone you want, and you have to have the materials for crafting said furnishing, and then you press create. You cannot create certain furnishings because you do not have enough, resources to build it. Like this one, I do not have enough fabric, so I cannot create this furnishing. I can craft more fabric, and then I can create said furnishing. And here we go, we can make these lamps. I want to make this one, so we can press create after making sure that we have, the resources. You create it, and it's going to go here in the creation queue. So this furnishing has like a purple tag on it, which means it's gonna take longer to be obtained. The time needed for the furnishing piece to be crafted is displayed here, and this one takes 15 hours to be crafted, and this is like the maximum, 16 hours, sorry, and this is maximum time you need to create, a piece of furnishing. So you can either leave it here and obtain it after 16 hours, or you can obtain it using this button right here, get now, and that way you're gonna have to use one of these. Okay, you're gonna consume one of these to obtain the furnishing piece right away. Like, let's say you're in a rush and you want to use this piece in your build right now, you're gonna have to consume one of these. You get these from leveling up your trust rank in the teapot, or buy them from the teapot, like the round teapot from Tuppy. So I can press get now, and then we consumed one of these bottles, and we have the furnishing piece right here, and we can use it in our build. Next up is the realm teapot, and it's extremely important. The realm teapot, you can consume the realm currency you get here to buy things that you can either use in the overworld, or to buy furnishings and, like landforms and stuff to use in the teapot itself. You can buy like all of these materials and even resin. So you can only buy resin once a week, and it expires, so like you cannot keep it in your inventory forever. But yeah, you can also buy these vials that we talked about. You can also buy these, and these are things that you cannot craft, so you just like buy them. You can also use your round currency to buy furnishing blueprints, which means that you can only purchase this once, and you can then use this blueprint to craft whatever the furnishing is multiple times, or like as many times as you want. Next up, you can buy these things, and these things are not stuff that you can craft over and over again. They're just things that you can buy, and if you want like another copy, if possible, because some pieces you cannot like buy multiple copies of. But yeah, if you want another piece, you're gonna have to buy it. And here is where we can get these realm, like the entire realm blueprint, like the Sumida realm, the Fontaine underwater realm, and then the last one, which is the Natlan one. Now we're done with the very basic points of the teapot. Let's talk about the teapot techniques. They're very, very easy, very simple. I'm gonna explain them in the simplest way possible so everyone can apply them in their teapot and not struggle the way I did, because most of the tutorials were extremely sped up and not explained, thoroughly. But first things first, I'm gonna show you this little area in my teapot, and I used a picture I saw on Pinterest as reference. I do not follow tutorials when it comes to actual builds, or like use build ID and stuff. I prefer to build stuff myself. This is the simple mansion build thingy, the mansion area. Now let's talk techniques, and I'm just gonna explain the 2 most important techniques you need to use. So let's go somewhere else and do this. I'm gonna switch my realm so you can go somewhere like emptier and easier to build in. Let's go to Cool Isle. I have a simple Christmassy kind of build right here, and I've used the floating and sinking techniques in here. But it looks very festive and magical in a way, which I love. And these white trees, to me, they look like, snow, just super pretty. Now let's get to the sinking and the floating technique. First thing first, we're gonna need to edit the area. We just press this little thingy, this hand button. So I'm going to apply the techniques in another island, but I'm here to show you how I used the sinking and floating techniques and what I mean by them. So as you can see from this angle, you can just see the mansion, and then these kind of like stepping stones, but they're huge. But if we look from the back, the mansion itself is floating. This little building is floating. This building is floating. These trees, you cannot see the actual trunk of the tree because it's sinking. This is the actual tree, and this is the sinking tree. This tree, as you can see, is floating. So I used a mix of floating and sinking in this area to achieve this look of like, layering. I also sunk these platforms in. So this platform right here is the actual height when it's touching the ground, and these 2 platforms are sunk inside. How do we achieve this look? This is gonna be a little, lab area. So let's get it started. Floating is basically easier than sinking, but with enough practice, you're gonna get used to both of them. To float items, we're gonna need a platform, the item we want to float, and it can be anything. Literally anything. Let's say a building, no matter how large or small it is. Like, let's try this huge building and then this teeny tiny house. And we're also going to need an anchor. I personally prefer to use a taller anchor, and you will see why. So nothing too big, just a taller anchor. So I'm going to use this one. We're gonna need a platform, which is gonna indicate the height we want to float the items on, the item we want to float, whether large or small, and last but not least, we're gonna need an anchor. To start floating, I'm not gonna do the set method or anything. I'm gonna use the simplest, easiest method over here. Make sure that this thing says single select mode. Says. You're not in single select mode right now. You're in multi-select mode. But make sure it says single select mode. That way you can float and sync stuff. If it says multi-select mode, then you won't be able to do anything. This is the first step. Next step is press on the item you want to float until you see this blue border thingy around it. Next step, we're going to select the anchor. As you can see, both of our pieces have this blue border underneath them. And now there is also this blue circle around them. That means that we have selected both of the items and that we can move them together. Now let's say I want to float this item to be this high, like on top of this, on this height. It's going to be floating. It won't be on top of this specific boulder. It's just going to be floating at the level of this. What we're going to do is that we're going to lift this screw, the anchor, and the thing we want to move, and make sure that the area in the middle of these two pieces is going to be on top of this boulder. Like this empty area, we want it to be on top of this boulder. Look at this. Neither of these objects, the anchor or the object we want to move, to float, has to be on top of the boulder. It's only the anchor of the set itself. Okay, the area in the middle between these pieces. That has to be on top of the boulder. But once I get to a height that I'm happy with, I just press confirm here. Press confirm. And now we need to put the anchor down onto the actual ground. Selecting the anchor only. Okay, we're gonna select the anchor only. Make sure that it has the blue thing on its base, and then we're gonna move the anchor itself on the ground. Make sure it's touching the ground and not the boulder. And then we're gonna press confirm. Anchor, selecting the anchor, placing it on the ground, and then press confirm. Our item that we want to float is still floating, and then our anchor is on the ground. The item is still floating. Now we need to move this floating item. We don't want it just floating. We want to make it float, but we want to move it here. If we try to move it like this, it's gonna go back to the ground. It's no longer floating. So how to make it float, but we still can move it? We select the anchor and bring it kind of closer here, so it's easier for us to move it. And we press confirm. And now the anchor is close to the item we want to move. And now we're gonna select both the anchor that is on the ground. It has to be on the ground. And then we're gonna select the floating item, and now we can move them. Now we can move the floating item wherever we want. If we want to move a floating item, it has to be selected with an anchor that is on the ground. Otherwise, we won't be able to move it on its own. I hope that this is clear. Now we press confirm. We can remove the anchor. The thingy is floating. If we want to move it again, I add another anchor. Let's say this one. And then we select the anchor. Make sure there is the blue thingy on its base, like the blue border thingy. And then we select the floating item. Now they both have the border, the blue border on them. And now we can move them together like this. We're done with the placement. We're happy with it. We just press confirm. We select the anchor on its own and then take. That's it. The item is floating. Now, how to float larger items? The same thing. This method works for everything. We're gonna use a boulder. I want this height, and then I'm gonna use an anchor, and then we have the thingy we want to float. I like to put a decent distance between the anchor and the thing we want to move, but not too big of a distance. Even though it's huge, we can still float it. I'm gonna select the piece we want to float. Make sure that there is a border around it. And then we select the anchor. And then we're gonna have this area in the middle. We move the area in the middle over the boulder until the thingies float. We press confirm. We select the anchor only, place it on the ground level, bring it closer here, and then select the floating item. And now we can move it wherever we want. So now that we understood the concept of floating furnishings, we're gonna move on to sinking furnishings. We're gonna need the exact same 3 pieces we used for floating, which is the piece we want to sink, a boulder, and an anchor. And in this case, the anchor kind of has to be high or like higher than the top of the boulder, and we will see why in a bit. So we can either use a boulder that is the exact same height as the part we want to sink, or we can use something like this, which is a boulder that we can adjust the height of and we can use for sinking things. So I prefer to use this one over this one that everybody seems to use. I don't like this one. It has like a submerged part that's underground. I don't like this one, so we're going to use this boulder, and as you can see, it's so much smaller than the building, but it's still going to work. So what we're going to do is adjust the height of the boulder. Let's say I only want this much exposed over ground, for example, but I want to make sure that, you know, my anchor is still taller than the height of the boulder. Yeah, so we have our same 3 pieces: anchor, building, or like the thing we want to sink, and a boulder with the height we want. Next up is that we're going to select the item we want to sink and the anchor, like this. Very easy. We're going to create set. We're gonna press this button right here and create sets. Now, whenever we press on either the anchor or the piece we want to sink, we're gonna have this showing up. Okay, this golden yellow ring thingy. Now, this is very important. We created the set by selecting both the anchor and the item we want to sink. We press create set, and now we press on one of the items and it's gonna have this ring around it. Now we need to press edit set. This button, this is very important. Press edit set, like this. Now both of the items have this, the blue border on them. And now we're going to float. I recommend using the top view, and we're going to float the set on top of the boulder. As you can see, it's floating. This is different from the floating method, okay? So this is where we're at. We're gonna press confirm. It's important. So now both of our pieces are in fact floating. The next important step is to grab the anchor and then put it on the ground but still inside of the ring. This is very important. Press confirm. Now one of the pieces is floating. We're gonna select the item we want to sink and put it on the ground floor, still inside of that ring. Now both of our pieces are on the ground. What we're gonna do next is press on either of the pieces, anchor or the item we want to sink, and press edit set again. This is our second time using edit set. And now watch the magic happen. It's sinking. Just like that. I'm going to repeat this again to make it easier to follow. And you can like open Genshin in another tab if you can. And you can follow these steps. So I'm going to dissolve the set. This is what we have: a boulder at the height we want, an anchor that is higher than the boulder, and this is going to be important and you'll see why, and an item that we want to sink. We're going to select the item we want to sink as well as the anchor. Press create set. We're going to press on either piece of the set and we're gonna see that golden you know, ring around them. We're gonna press edit set. Now both of the pieces have that blue border around them. Now we move to top view and float the pieces on top of the boulder like this and press confirm. Grab the anchor, put it down on the ground like this. It's on the ground, it's touching the ground, but it's still inside the ring. Press confirm. Now we're gonna select the item that we want to float, we want to sink, sorry, and then we're gonna place it on the ground as well, still inside of the ring. Press confirm. Both of the items are back on the ground level. And now we press on either one of the items, select it like this, press edit set, and then voila. As you can see, both of the items are sinking. Now we can see our anchor right here, and it's taking up space. So we want to remove it and maybe like use it later somewhere else, or we don't want the load to go way too high and we cannot add any more pieces. So we're gonna need to get rid of this while this item is still sinking. So while we're here sinking underground, we're gonna press dissolve set. And now we can select our anchor, take, we can use it again, anything, but now we can no longer move this. It's not like the floating technique where you can move it whenever you want. Once it's sunken, it's going to be super hard to move, so yeah, make sure you sink it exactly where you want it to be. I hope that I explained the techniques in a way that's clear, and please let me know if you couldn't follow this. I will try my best to explain even further, like if possible. It's pretty easy, and also it's pretty useful. I'm gonna show you something I really like to do with the sinking technique, and super cute. We're gonna pick a landform. You can use the sinking technique for pretty much like everything except for the main building and the companions, because yeah, it's kind of hard. It's possible, but it's not the same technique. I like to use these pink melusine boulders for the sinking technique, and you'll see why. So this is the item we want to sink, and then this is the same anchor that I really like to use. And for the platform, I like to use this one because it's slightly shorter than the melusine boulder. This entire part is gonna be sunken underground. Now we're gonna do the sinking technique, edit set, sink. Now we have beautiful pink grass for the melusine house. By the way, you can sink or float multiple items at the same time. I'm gonna show you real quick. Landform. This is the boulder I usually like to use. We're gonna use our same anchor. We're gonna select these as the item we want to sink. You can select them at the same time as well as the anchor. Create a set. Edit set, float, confirm, place them back on the ground, edit set. Now they're sinking, and now look at the build. It's like pink grass. It's not that high from the ground. You can sink it even lower and sit on here, so we can like take pictures, use them for backgrounds. This is like a simple little build using the sinking and floating techniques. It's very easy. I hope that the tutorial was easy to follow, and I'm gonna end this video with a teeny tiny teapot tour because most of my teapot is not built at the moment. It's going through renovations. Alright, so I'm gonna show you inside my mansion real quick. I'm using the Fontaine mansion. I made a little Christmas tree. It's super easy to make, but it's not the best. I have a better one at another mansion. But yeah, this is like a simple little one with a bit of clutter. This is very pretty for pictures. I showed this island previously. I was honestly inspired by a few pictures I saw on Pinterest of a couple of builds actually. And you know, I really wanted to have I don't know, like a Fontanian street inside of my teapot. So yeah, there's like a little fountain area, and then there is the street, and I love, you know, taking pictures here. It's my favorite area to take pictures in. It's very pretty, and I keep some of my favorite 4 stars in here. This is like a little flower cafe thingy and a flower shop here, which I love, and then more seating areas for the flower cafe. This area is so much fun to take pictures in. This is obviously inspired by Mary Ann's house. I absolutely loved that quest. It's my absolute favorite quest in Genshin. From this angle, it's kind of similar to the one from the quests. Absolutely love this. Okay, so the Mary Ann place is pretty huge, so I tried to just incorporate some of the areas. I was using like the open book furnishing in here, but then I had to use it in another island, and I'll show you. Yeah, so this is where the storybook has to be, and we go up from here. There's supposed to be some sort of a bridge here. There's water, and there's the crystal fly, I believe. It's really cute. And then we have a dog, because there used to be like a dog house. It's supposed to be a dog house here. And then there's a little seating area. I remember there's a clothesline inside that place, the Mary Ann place. So yeah, I tried to make it like kind of similar. And then of course the mailbox, it was there in Mary Ann's house. So yeah, I think I stacked 2 buildings to make this house. It's very, very pretty. I really like it, and I'm kind of proud of it. But still, I want to work on the bridge. This is like the last island in my teapot, and it's actually a church with a wedding aisle. It's very, very cute with lots of flowers. And then we get inside of the church. I love this not cry signs of the frost moon statue. I really like it. It's very, very pretty. I added flowers in here. And then I built this piano, quote unquote. It's kind of large, but I tried my best. I saw a picture on Pinterest again and tried to, recreate the piano. And this is the book, the furnishing piece I talked about. And then these are, seats for the wedding guests, or like the church goers. Yeah, it's pretty cute. I love this area, and I took so many pictures in here actually. And I think this is where we are ending our video. Thank you so much for hanging around. I hope that the tutorial was somewhat useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.